Thank you to Meathead for sponsoring today's video. I cooked 8 chicken breasts, 2 whole turkeys, 6 chicken legs, and did a bunch of research in order to answer the following questions. Number 1, why is it safe to cook your turkey below 165 degrees Fahrenheit? Number 2, why should you cook your turkey below 165 degrees Fahrenheit? Number 3, what are the best methods for salting your turkey? And number 4, how does turkey skin get brown and crisp? Because if you're going to drop $30 or $40 on a turkey this year, hopefully this video helps you turn it out exactly the way you want it. And given all the information in this video, I hope this is the last Thanksgiving turkey video that you need to watch, unless you just like watching turkey videos, I guess. Hey everyone, I'm Ethan, a home cooking nerd who likes to find better ways to cook and share them with all of you. So I know a lot of us in kind of the food and cooking space like to find the best or only way that you should make something, but what we're gonna do in this video is a little bit different because I don't care how you cook your turkey this year. The only thing that I do care about is that you have considered how temperature and salt play into that method that you have chosen, and more on that in a bit, but there is a ton of information in this video, so I have time-stamped everything below, so feel free to jump around as much as you want for your viewing pleasure, but let's talk turkey. We've been told for years that in order for chicken, turkey, and other poultry to be considered safe from salmonella, it has to reach 165 degrees Fahrenheit, or for less accurate measures, make sure there's no pink left in the center. Now these blanket statements have permeated cooking culture, with some people making you think that if I cooked my chicken to a shocking 164 degrees, or if there was any tint of pink, I'm immediately in for a night of sickness due to salmonella, but this is simply not the case. A big reason why these statements have stuck around from 1999 is because of a lack of research. The Food Safety and Inspection Service said it themselves in this updated publication, where they now also say that cooked poultry rolls and other cooked poultry products should reach an internal temperature of at least 160 degrees Fahrenheit, or another time temperature combination from the poultry time temperature tables during the cooking process, which is what we want, and I'll get to those tables in just a second, but let me first paint a picture. Here's a piece of chicken with 0 pink left in the center, but it's only been cooked to 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Specifically, this piece of chicken has the same 7-log reduction in salmonella as a piece of chicken cooked to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if you're asking what the hell is a log reduction, I'm with you, so I found a chart. In this example, for a surface that has 1 million microbes, on a 1-log reduction, it takes it down to 100,000 microbes. A 2-log reduction, down to 10,000, 3-log, down to 1,000, and a 7-log reduction can't even be seen on the chart. A 7-log reduction basically means you can be 99.9999% sure the salmonella bacteria have been killed. Simply put, they're both the same level of really safe. So now you're probably asking, how is this possible? Well, killing salmonella bacteria isn't only a matter of temperature. Instead, it's a matter of temperature and time. In the FSIS Salmonella Compliance Guidelines for small and very small meat and poultry establishments, they have charts for turkey and chicken at temperature, times, and fat content, so you no longer have to wonder when your poultry is safe. At 165 degrees, poultry is instantaneously safe, which is where our original statement comes from, but at 150 degrees Fahrenheit, a lean 5% fat turkey breast has to hit 150 degrees, hold it for just 3.7 minutes for a 7-log reduction, which it will do so easily. The only way to know for sure if it holds that temperature is to use a temperature monitoring device. So let me introduce you to my friends at Meathead who sponsored today's video. Meathead is a Bluetooth thermometer that pairs to your phone so you know exactly what's going on with your meat. It's my go-to thermometer for any large cut. Now obviously we did turkey and chicken today, but it can be used for steaks, large roasts, or barbecue to ensure that your meat comes out exactly the way you want it without having to open up an oven or grill and constantly check on it. If you would like to pick up your own meter, check the link in my description, and if you want a chance at getting the extra one I will be giving away, stick around to the end of the video. Okay, we now know it's safe, but why would you want to cook it below 165 degrees? Well, if you like juicy and tender turkey instead of dry and stringy, hear me out. In turkey or any protein strands exist which have water molecules bound to its surface. From salt, fat, acid, heat, we learn that when a protein is heated, these coils unravel, releasing that water. And if it's heated too much, aka overcooking, that leads to tough and dry turkey. And now there are ways to reduce the coagulated moisture loss through brining and such, and we'll get to that in a bit, but brine or not, overcooking will still lead to drier meat. Okay, so now's the question. What is the best temperature to cook your turkey? And to answer this, we need to break it down into white meat and dark meat. For the white meat, aka the turkey breast, here's a chart from the Food Lab by J. Kenji Lopez Alt describing what happens at various temperatures. Here on the right, I've cooked some chicken breast to 145 degrees, 150, 155, 165, and they are definitely all plenty juicy for my taste, but I do find that things start to go downhill fast after reaching that 165 degrees. For my money, I like to target pool at 150 degrees Fahrenheit for my turkey breast, and during this time it will rise a bit in temperature due to carryover cooking. And this half on the left you see here was cooked to 150 degrees before being pulled from the oven, and this one on the right was purposely overcooked to 170 degrees. Just look at the differences in moisture. Everything would be easy if we could use the same exact temperatures for dark meat, and in regards to safeness, the temperatures are fine assuming they were held for the requisite time, but in terms of texture, we need to cook them much higher, and it's because of collagen. You see, the dark meat has a bunch of connective tissue or collagen compared to the lean breast. And at lower temperatures, the connective tissue will be tough and kind of slimy instead of falling apart and tender. If you've ever had ribs that stuck to the bone, it's because the collagen didn't break down enough. We want that connective tissue to break down into gelatin, which is juicy, unctuous goodness. And in dark meat, according to the Thermoblog, this happens at around 175 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So here's a clip of a turkey thigh cooked to 160 degrees Fahrenheit compared to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. And you can see the turkey with the 180 is much more fall off the bone tender, while the 160 is kind of tough and unappealing texturally. So 150 for the breast, 175 for the thighs, got it. Well, now we have a problem. How in the hell am I supposed to get those two temperatures when the turkey breast is standing up and covering the dark meat, which I want to cook faster? Yep, it's basically impossible, which is why cooking a turkey the conventional way almost always ends up with either overcooked and dry white meat and succulent dark meat, or tender juicy white meat and tough dark meat. So what are we to do?
Oh, it's just a little dry, it's fine.
Well, the easiest way in my opinion is to just break the turkey down into 4 pieces and cook them separately with thermometers like I did for my test. Now you may say I can't bring out the whole turkey to the table like they do in the movies, and yeah, you're right, but if these pictures are any indication, you can still assemble a sexy looking plate of turkey while getting your juicy white meat and succulent dark meat. Your other option is to spatchcock or butterfly your chicken, which is as simple as cutting the backbone out and laying it flat for roasting. And as J. Kenji Lopez Alt notes in his book, this gives the advantage of a flat shape for even cooking, meaning our thighs cook faster and reach the requisite temperatures at approximately the same time, or close enough. Spatchcocking also spreads out the skin so we can get even browning and crisping. More on that in a bit, but now let's talk salt. I've said it before and I'll say it again and again until my cooking career is over. Salting your food is one of the most important skills for a home cook to learn, but it's often overlooked. The goal of using salt is not to make our food taste salty, but instead it's to make it taste more like the thing that we added it to, in this case, turkey. Now there are some differences in the methods that I'm about to describe, and I'll let you know which one I think are better, but in my opinion, assuming that you have already nailed the temperature part, that alone with any of the salt methods will be a huge upgrade over an improperly cooked turkey without ample salt. These methods do assume that you are using a fresh, unsalted turkey. Many frozen turkeys come with pre-basted in a salt solution, so while you can still salt them, you probably want to use much less. There are 3 main approaches to salting meat, and again, we're going to be using the chicken breast as our test subject. First up, salting right before. Just as the method says, you salt the meat right before baking it by sprinkling from 10 to 12 inches above in an even layer. In general, I use 1 or 1.5% salt by weight of meat. So for a 250 gram piece of chicken breast, I'm looking for about 3 grams of evenly sprinkled salt. And simply put, this seasons the meat. You try a piece of chicken without any salt and one with, and you'll notice a big difference. Second, dry brining. This method is the exact same as above, the only difference is the time. After adding salt, depending on the piece of meat, it is left for 1 hour or up to several days. For a whole turkey, you generally want at least 12 hours or up to 3 days of a dry brine. During this time is where things get interesting. Remember those protein coils with water molecules from earlier? Well, as salt works into the meat, it disrupts the protein coils and prevents them from squeezing out as much water molecules. The result is that we get more moisture retention, aka juicier meat. Last is wet brining. For wet brining, instead of salting the meat directly, the salt is added to the water. A general guideline from the Science of Great Barbecue and Grilling is a 6% salt solution, which should weigh 2 to 3 times the weight of the meat. So for a 250 gram piece of chicken, we need 750 grams of water, which needs 45 grams of salt for a 6% solution. Just like dry brining, wet brining will also disrupt the coils, and some of the water itself will actually go into the chicken, leading to moist meat, and now it's the perfect time for an experiment to see just how much moisture is being retained through brining. For this moisture retention test, I took 4 chicken breasts and noted the starting weight down for each one. Next, I dry brined one and let it sit for 2 hours. Then I wet brined one and also let it sit for 2 hours. Then after brining, I took the weights down again and laid them on a wire rack over a baking sheet with the other 2. One was salted right before and one was left completely plain. I stuck the meter thermometer in the plain one for tracking and then baked them in the oven until they reached 150 degrees Fahrenheit and held that temperature for 4 minutes. I weighed them one last time and here are the results. So as we can see, they all lost at least 10% moisture from those water molecules being squeezed out of the protein strands during cooking, but all 3 of the salted methods retained more moisture than the plain one. As far as the numbers shows, there's not huge differences. We're talking about like half to 1%. So which methods did you choose? All 3 will be perfectly acceptable in my eyes, but let's look at 3 categories: flavor, texture, and ease of method. Obviously flavor is a little subjective, but I find the brines to be more well balanced than just salting right before. I'll put the dry brine at 1A and the wet brine at 1B, and salt right before I put in the 3 spot. For the texture, I like the wet brine the most because it's slightly more tender. I'll put the dry brine at 2 and the salt right before at 3. For ease of method though, salting right before is clearly the easiest. Dry brining is easy, but it does require planning ahead of time, and then the wet brine requires the most resources from the salt, water, and a large container if you were using a whole turkey. So which one is best? It depends on the situation. Over the years, if I have the requisite tools, I like a wet brine. But for the spatchcock turkey I did for a Thanksgiving video coming out later this weekend, I did the salt right before technique. Remember, the true crime here would be using no salt in the first place. So last but not least, let's talk skin. In my opinion, the turkey skin definitely plays third fiddle to temperature and salt. If I'm making a Peking duck, the skin is of utmost importance to me, but for a turkey at Thanksgiving, it's not something I'm overly worried about. I want it well browned, absolutely, and if it stays kind of crisp for serving, that's just a bonus. But as most Thanksgivings go, by the time you actually serve the turkey, that skin has probably gone soft from resting, or it was smothered with gravy or some other side dish anyway. However, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't learn how the skin gets brown and crisp in the first place, and simply put, it's a dehydration process. From the food lab, it's noted that chicken, or turkey skin, is made of water, fat, and protein. To get crispy, the collagen must convert to gelatin, then the water must evaporate from the skin, and finally the fat must render off. So let's do another experiment. Here I have 6 bone-in, skin-on chicken legs where we will test various techniques. All the skin was completely dried before putting in the oven, and what I did was the following. One was a wet brine, one was a dry brine, one was salted on the exterior with an herb dry rub, number 4 was salted and rubbed with oil on the exterior, number 5 was an herb butter spread underneath the skin, and number 6 was herb butter rubbed on top of the skin. All of the chicken legs were then baked at 450 degrees Fahrenheit until they reached about 180 internal, and here are the results for the browning. Now these pictures all look fairly decent to me, but the one with the wet brine was the most lacking in browning, probably due to the excess water that got trapped underneath the skin. Also, a lot of people say butter will mess up the skin due to being 15% water, but this skin honestly looks really great to me. Lastly, I did a crisp test for each one. Let's listen in. So in conclusion, the longer the turkey skin is in the oven, obviously the more it will dehydrate and get crisp, but you're doing that at the cost of potentially overcooking your turkey, so it's something you definitely have to be careful to balance. In my opinion, the skin is just something to have fun with. Do herb rubs, do glazes, whatever you want. Just nail that turkey in salt and you'll be on your way. Okay, so we've talked a lot about chicken, turkey, and science in this video, so let's cover our base conclusions. So in conclusion, there are countless ways that you can cook your turkey this year, but if you are tired of dry turkey, temperature is going to be by far the most important because you can always add salt and seasoning you know, after it's cooked, but you're not gonna be able to add moisture back in if it's, you know, cooked to 165 or 170 or 175. You know, you could douse it in gravy or something, but it's really just not the same. And then the only way to know for sure about those temperatures is to use a thermometer. So this is the meter thermometer that I will be giving away. I asked them to send me a couple so I could make this video, else it literally would not have been possible. So what you're gonna have to do is just, I'll set up a link on screen right now, and then it will be in the description of this video. Just follow that link, and all the instructions will be on there. So if you guys wanna get this, we'll send that on out. But outside of temperature, then it's salting. If you have the time, I would recommend a dry brine or a wet brine. You know, try out both, see what you like. And then for the skin for me is just have fun with it. You know, you can just do plain salt, you can do herb butters, herb rubs, glazes. There's so many things and ways that you can flavor your turkey, but as long as you've kind of covered the temperature and the salt, whatever you do on that, you know, for the flavor in the outside, it's just gonna be amplified to the next level. So hopefully you all guys have enjoyed. Hopefully you picked up a little something in this video. I know there was kind of a lot. Hopefully I didn't just spew out too much information to you guys. But that's gonna wrap it up for me. I will have another Thanksgiving video coming out on this weekend, on Sunday, I believe. But I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. Go enjoy your turkey however you're celebrating this year, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.